Welcome back to Wisdom Unveiled. We're diving deep into Rumi again, specifically how he thought about the self.
It's pretty fascinating stuff.
It really is. This is episode 6 out of 40. We're looking at the more set conversations with Dr. Dinani and Dr. Larijani.
Two Iranian philosophers.
Yeah. And, a quick note, since these are translated conversations, some things might get, lost in translation.
But the core ideas are so powerful.
They really are. You can feel them, regardless of the language.
Absolutely. And getting Rumi's perspective on the self, it can unlock some pretty amazing things in your own life.
Yeah, it really can. It's almost like, a personal roadmap to self-discovery that was written, like, centuries ago.
I like that, a roadmap.
So we're going to be exploring this line from Rumi: whoever became separated from himself became my companion. I mean, that sounds like a paradox, right?
It does, doesn't it?
How can you be both lost and a companion at the same time?
Well, what's interesting here is that Rumi isn't talking about physical separation, but a spiritual one, like being disconnected from your true essence, what Sufis call the batin.
The batin.
Yeah. Think of it as like the raw, unfiltered you, stripped of all the, the masks we wear.
So not just like losing touch with a friend, but losing touch with the, most essential part of yourself?
Exactly.
I can already see how that would create, a yearning for connection.
Absolutely. And that's where Rumi steps in. He becomes a companion to those who recognize this separation within themselves, the people who are on the path of, inner transformation.
It's almost like finding a kindred spirit, someone who understands that deep longing to reconnect with your true self.
Exactly. Dr. Larijani talks about it as a kind of secret language, this shared understanding that goes beyond words. It connects people on a much deeper level.
That makes me think of the story Dr. Dinani shared about the Hindu man and the Turk. They became the best of friends.
Oh, wow.
But they didn't even speak the same language.
Really?
It seems impossible. But they connected through empathy, a shared understanding of their batin.
Wow, so they tapped into that universal language of the heart.
Exactly.
Proving that true connection goes, beyond all the superficial differences.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, right? How many opportunities for connection do we miss? Because we're so focused on the things that, separate us.
All the time, I bet. It's a powerful reminder to look beyond the surface, recognize that shared humanity that binds us all.
So we've talked about, recognizing this separation from our true selves. But how do we actually bridge that gap?
Right.
Where do we even begin?
Well, both Dr. Dinani and Dr. Larijani, they emphasize the importance of stillness.
Stillness.
Yeah. Not necessarily in a monastic sense, but, creating space to hear the whispers of your soul.
Oh, okay. So finding those pockets of quiet contemplation.
Exactly. Where we can tune into our, inner selves amidst all the noise of everyday life.
That makes sense.
Dr. Larijani uses this beautiful metaphor of polishing the mirror of your heart.
Oh, I like that.
So by removing the smudges of negativity and self-doubt and limiting beliefs, you allow your true essence to shine through.
That's a really beautiful way to think about self-improvement.
Yeah.
It's like you're actively clearing away those obstacles that prevent us from seeing ourselves clearly.
And this process of purification, what Sufis call tazkiyah, it's an ongoing journey. It's about constantly refining and polishing that mirror so your true self can reflect the divine light.
Sounds like a commitment.
It is, but it's incredibly rewarding.
But is it just about following a set of rules? Or rituals?
Dr. Larijani, he cautions against that. He says true tazkiyah, it's about connecting to the heart of the practice, not just going through the motions.
Oh, okay.
It's about understanding the deeper meaning behind those actions.
So it's not about blindly following a set of instructions, but about finding a personal connection to the practice itself.
Exactly. And Dr. Dinani emphasizes that a true Sufi teacher, they're not there to give you all the answers.
Right.
They're more like a midwife, guiding you towards the wisdom that's already within you.
It's about empowering you to discover your own truths rather than imposing a specific set of beliefs.
Exactly. And this is where Rumi's poetry becomes so powerful. It's not meant to be a rule book, but an invitation to explore your own inner depths.
So how should we approach his poetry then? Should we be analyzing every single word? Every metaphor, or is there a different way to, engage with it?
Dr. Larijani warns against overanalyzing Rumi. He says to approach the poetry as like a love song.
Oh, wow.
To the divine, letting it resonate with your emotions, rather than dissecting it with logic.
So it's more about feeling it than thinking about it.
Yeah.
Okay, all of this is starting to click. But there's still one big concept that I'm a little intimidated by, Fana.
Oh, right.
The annihilation of the self, it just sounds intense.
It's definitely a concept that gets misunderstood.
I can imagine.
Dr. Dinani clarifies that it's not about, erasing your ego or personality, but about dissolving the illusion of separation from the divine.
So not becoming a blank slate, but recognizing that inherent connection
Yeah.
to something much larger than ourselves.
Yes. Dr. Larijani uses this beautiful analogy. He compares each of us to a drop of water merging into this vast ocean. We retain our unique form as a drop, but we also become like one with the immensity of the ocean.
That's such a beautiful image. It suggests that we can retain our individuality while also experiencing this profound sense of unity.
And this is where Fana becomes a pathway to true companionship. It's in recognizing our interconnectedness that we find a deeper connection, not only with the divine, but also with each other.
This is really making me think. It seems that Rumi's idea of companionship is rooted in some pretty radical ideas about the self.
It is radical. It's about recognizing the paradox of our existence. We are both individuals, right? And part of a greater whole. We yearn for connection, yet we often feel separated from ourselves and from others.
And Rumi becomes a companion to those who are willing to confront these paradoxes and seek a deeper understanding.
Exactly. He doesn't offer simple answers, but rather invites us to join him on this path of exploration, encouraging us to find our own way.
So what role does a teacher play in this journey? If it's about finding our own way, do we even need a teacher?
That's a great question. Dr. Dinani emphasizes that a true Sufi teacher isn't a choreographer, dictating specific steps.
Oh, okay.
Instead, they're more like a fellow dancer, encouraging you to find your own rhythm and supporting you through the stumbles.
So they're more of a mentor than an instructor.
More of a guide, yeah, someone who's walked the path before you. But ultimately, it's up to each individual to find their own way of expressing, the divine.
So it sounds like Rumi himself, he kind of embodied that approach to teaching, right? He wasn't interested in just imposing his beliefs, but more about inviting people to explore these ideas for themselves.
Precisely. He's a companion on the path, not a dictator of the path. He shares his wisdom, his experiences, but ultimately encourages you to find your own way.
So less about following in Rumi's footsteps and more about finding our own unique way to dance with the divine.
Exactly. And that dance is an ongoing process, of purification, letting go of limitations, finding our own rhythm.
Sounds like a beautiful but challenging journey. But with Rumi as a companion and maybe a wise teacher to guide us, it feels a little less daunting.
It's important to remember that the journey itself is the reward. It's about embracing the process of self-discovery, the stumbles, the triumphs, the moments of clarity, the periods of confusion. It's all part of it.
I'm starting to see how this all ties back to Fana too, right? It's not about erasing ourselves, but about recognizing our connection to something larger, something that gets us a sense of belonging, wholeness.
And in that wholeness, we find true companionship, not only with the divine, but also with each other. We start to see ourselves, reflected in the other, and we recognize that shared journey that we're all on.
This concept of Fana, this annihilation of the self, it's still swirling around in my head. It's such a powerful idea. I'm curious to know more about how it actually plays out in our lives.
Yeah, it's not always easy to grasp. Dr. Dinani offers a really helpful perspective on this. He says that Fana isn't about obliterating our individual identity. It's more about dissolving the illusion of separation from the divine.
So it's not about erasing who we are, but about recognizing our inherent connection to something much larger.
Exactly. Dr. Larijani uses a beautiful analogy to illustrate this. He compares each of us to a drop of water merging into a vast ocean. We retain our unique form as a drop, but we also become one with the immensity of the ocean.
That's a powerful image. It captures both our individuality and our interconnectedness. We're distinct beings, yet we're also part of something much, much grander.
And this realization, this experience of Fana, this is what Rumi suggests leads to true companionship. It's in recognizing our shared essence, our connection to the divine source, that we find a deeper level of connection with each other.
So it's not about finding someone who completes us, but about recognizing that we're already whole and connected.
Precisely. It's about letting go of the ego's illusion of separation and embracing the reality of our interconnectedness.
This makes me think back to that story about the Hindu man and the Turk, the one Dr. Dinani shared. They formed such a deep friendship, even though they didn't speak the same language.
Right.
They connected on like such a profound level, recognizing a shared essence that went beyond words.
Exactly. It's about recognizing the baton, the true essence within ourselves and in others. And this recognition, it transcends language, cultural barriers. It allows for a profound sense of understanding and connection.
It's a powerful reminder that our shared humanity runs deeper than any differences that might separate us.
Absolutely. And this is where the role of the teacher, it becomes crucial. Dr. Dinani emphasizes that a true Sufi teacher, they're not there to impose their beliefs on you, but rather to guide you towards the wisdom that already resides within you.
So less about following a set of rules or dogmas and more about like cultivating inner awareness?
Exactly. Dr. Larijani uses the metaphor of polishing the mirror of your heart. A good teacher helps you to identify and remove those smudges that cloud your perception, allowing your inner light to shine more brightly.
It's about clearing away those obstacles that prevent us from seeing our true selves, those limiting beliefs, those negative thought patterns that keep us stuck.
And this process of purification, what Sufis call taskiya, it's essential for connecting with our batin and experiencing Fana.
So the teacher acts as a guide, a mentor, helping us to see more clearly and to uncover the wisdom that already exists within us.
Yes, they provide support, encouragement, but ultimately it's up to each individual to do the inner work and find their own unique path to the divine.
This brings to mind what Dr. Larijani said about approaching Rumi's poetry. It's not about, overanalyzing or dissecting the words, but about allowing the poetry to resonate with our hearts and souls.
Rumi's poetry is meant to be experienced, not just analyzed. It's a love song to the divine, an invitation to connect with the deeper mysteries of existence.
So it's less about like understanding the poetry with our minds and more about feeling it with our hearts.
Exactly. It's about allowing the poetry to bypass the intellect and go straight to the soul.
It's like experiencing a beautiful piece of music. You don't need to understand all the technicalities of the composition, to be moved by its beauty.
Precisely. It's about surrendering to the experience, allowing the music to wash over you, and evoke a range of emotions. Rumi's poetry is meant to be engaged with in a similar way.
It's a reminder that sometimes the most profound truths are felt rather than thought.
And this is where the concept of Fana, it becomes even more intriguing. Dr. Dinani suggests that it's not about becoming emotionless or detached from the world, but rather about experiencing a deeper level of feeling, a connection to the source of all emotions.
So not about suppressing our emotions, but about tapping into a more profound source of feeling.
Yes, it's about moving beyond the fleeting emotions of the ego and connecting with the boundless love and compassion that lie at the heart of existence.
It sounds like Fana isn't a destination, but rather an ongoing process of deepening our connection with the divine and with ourselves.
Exactly. It's about continuously refining and polishing the mirror of our hearts, allowing the divine light to shine more brightly through us.
And this process of refinement, this journey of tathagya, this is what ultimately leads us to experience true companionship, both with the divine and with each other.
Yes, it's in the recognition of our shared essence, our interconnectedness, that we find a deeper level of understanding and love.
It seems that Rumi is offering us a radical and a beautiful vision of the self, one that challenges our conventional notions of individuality and connection.
He invites us to step outside the limitations of the ego and embrace the boundless possibilities that arise when we recognize our inherent unity with the divine.
And it's this recognition that allows us to experience true companionship, a connection that transcends the boundaries of language, culture, and even time itself.
It's about seeing ourselves reflected in the eyes of another, recognizing the shared journey that we're all on, and finding solace and inspiration in the knowledge that that we're not alone.
I feel like we're just scratching the surface of these profound ideas, and I'm eager to continue exploring them. But for now, we'll take a brief pause and allow these insights to settle in.
In part 3 of this episode, we'll delve deeper into Rumi's notion of the self as a mirror, exploring how we can reflect the divine light into the world.
Until then, dear listeners, we invite you to ponder these questions. What does it mean to experience Fana? And how can you cultivate a deeper sense of companionship in your own life?
Keep those thoughts in mind, and we'll see you next time on Wisdom Unveiled.
Welcome back to Wisdom Unveiled. We're continuing our deep dive into Rumi's thoughts on the self.
Yeah, and with us again are Dr. Dinani and Dr. Larijani.
Two incredible Iranian philosophers.
Right, and in this last part, we're really going to focus on this idea of the self as a mirror, reflecting the divine.
That's a really captivating concept.
Isn't it? It's like Rumi is saying, that we have this potential to become vessels for something like much greater than ourselves.
I love that. We've talked about Tazkiyah in the previous part.
Right, the purification process.
Is that how we polish this metaphorical mirror?
Exactly. Dr. Larijani, he emphasizes that Tazkiyah is, an ongoing process of removing those smudges that cloud our perception.
So think of them as like negative thought patterns,
Yeah.
limiting beliefs, attachments to things that keep us from really seeing our true nature.
And as we polish the mirror, we become more reflective of, divine qualities, love, compassion, wisdom, beauty. We become, in a sense, vessels for the divine to express itself in the world.
Wow. That's a really, really beautiful image. But it also kind of implies a responsibility, right?
It does.
If we are these mirrors, then how we live our lives, how we treat other people, it all matters.
Dr. Dinani's very clear about that. Our actions, our words, even our thoughts, they have a ripple effect.
It's not just about personal transformation, then.
No.
It's also about actively contributing to a more, loving and compassionate world.
Rumi believed that every single person has the potential to be a beacon of light, illuminating the world with those divine qualities.
And this all ties back into companionship, right?
Yeah, it does.
The more reflective we become of the divine, the more we attract those who are on a similar path.
It's like creating a resonance, a sense of recognition. We find companions that mirror back to us our own, aspirations and our longing to connect with the divine.
This reminds me of the story of the Hindu man and the Turk.
Oh, right.
They formed such a deep bond, even though, they couldn't speak to each other.
It's a perfect illustration of how the true self, can create bridges of understanding.
Right.
As we purify our own mirrors, we become more attuned to the baton in others.
What a powerful reminder that genuine connection, it really is possible, even with all the diversity in the world.
And this is where the power of Rumi's poetry really comes in. It's not just, beautiful words. It's like a transmission of energy, a reflection of divine light that can awaken our own hearts and minds.
So we should be engaging with his poetry, not just intellectually, but with our whole being.
Exactly. It's about letting go of the need to analyze, to dissect, and just allowing ourselves to be moved by the beauty, the wisdom, the love that flows through his words.
Dr. Dinani, he encourages us to approach Rumi's poetry with childlike wonder, to let go of our preconceptions and just experience the magic of the words.
That's such a beautiful way to put it. It's like looking up at a star-fed sky.
Right. We can marvel at the beauty and the vastness without needing to understand every scientific detail.
Exactly. Rumi's poetry invites us to approach it with that same sense of awe and wonder.
It's about surrender, right? Surrendering to the mystery, allowing ourselves to be humbled by the beauty and complexity of existence.
And that surrender, that humility, it's so important for Tazkiyah, for polishing the mirror of our hearts.
Right. Letting go of that need for control and allowing the divine light to guide us.
Sounds like a lifelong journey, doesn't it? A constant process of refining and growing.
But with Rumi as a companion and maybe a wise teacher to guide us, it feels like a journey worth taking.
And remember, Rumi doesn't give us a roadmap or a set of instructions.
Oh, no.
He invites us to join him on this this dance, a celebration of life, a journey of self-discovery that leads us closer to the divine and to each other.
This has been such a profound exploration of Rumi's ideas about the self. We've talked about the paradox of, being an individual, but also being part of a greater whole, the purification process to tazkiyah, the idea of Fana as a path to true connection.
It really has. It's been an incredible journey, and we want to thank you, our listeners, for joining us.
We hope you've discovered some valuable insights.
Yeah, things you can take with you on your own path.
And remember, dear listeners, the journey is the destination.
Embrace the paradoxes.
The mysteries.
The beauty of it all.
Allow Rumi's poetry to touch your heart and inspire you to become a reflection of the divine light in the world.
Until next time, may you find peace, love, and companionship on your journey.
And from all of us here at Wisdom Unveiled, thank you for listening.